I'm going to be doing a just chatting stream. Just me today, no tonic, no wings today, no Eterna, just myself. And I want to look at, on this episode of Game On, I want to look at this new stuff Google's got coming out. What is it? The Stadia? I want to take a look at this live with you guys. I do apologize for the attire, just came in from work. But I kind of just want to jump in and start. I am kind of pumped to see what the next phase of gaming is supposed to be. So let's hop over here. We'll watch this together here.
Trying to do, and this seems like, in my opinion, a fairly novel idea in the way of that. It's a lot like the Xbox controller. It's a different gaming platform. So number 7, it operates completely differently from any hardware platform you currently use. It is a streaming service that you'll be able to play on any platform pretty much. Will it be available on your consoles? Probably not. I have a feeling that's going to be a no. I don't know for sure, but we'll see. What you'll be able to do is stream in 1080p at 60 frames per second up to 4K at launch with the promise of 8K not too far into the future.
Why would we need 8K?
There has been some
there.
latency testing to compare it to Project Stream, which would be the beta, and they have eliminated quite a bit of latency from that beta, if you're aware of it. But what's particularly interesting is figuring in display latency. Some testers have found that it's more or less on par with playing an Xbox One X on a TV, which is pretty impressive. The specs
that's not bad at all.
Very high.
That's pretty good, actually,
compared to today's gaming.
Okay, let's see. GPU, CPU, are these the specs for
consoles, which is very nice.
Stadia?
And also, there's a pretty decent chance those specs will just gradually change over time and get better. Number 6, this is particularly interesting. It's compatible with most controllers that you already own, which there's never been a gaming platform other than PC that was like that. And
which, by the way, the Xbox controller, to me, is the superior controller by far.
This definitely brings a new kind of flexibility as far as gaming controllers. Also, Google has introduced a proprietary controller that uses Wi-Fi and actually functions as its own internet-capable device, sending signals directly through the internet to the data center instead of through another piece of hardware. Anything that you can do to reduce latency, I'm sure they're trying to do, and this seems like, in my opinion, a fairly novel.
This controller looks like they couldn't figure out if they wanted to go the Xbox route or the PS4 route. This looks like a hybrid controller. I've seen a lot of people blowing this up online, and I don't really see why. If you've never actually gotten a hold of it, I don't think you can have an opinion on that. One second. But I personally don't really see a problem with it. It just looks like a hybrid between PS4 and Xbox One.
Idea in the way of that. It's a lot like the Xbox controller. It's not going to light the world on fire in any way there, but it looks comfortable, it looks nice.
Looks fine.
I like that they're trying to innovate as far as ways to reduce that latency. This is a streaming service. That's going to be the primary issue with this whole thing. Number 5, you will be able to instantly play Google Stadia. Again, it is a streaming service. You are playing the game through a stream. Therefore, you have no reason to ever install a game, to download a game, or anything like that. And you'll also be able to instantly switch between TV, phone, laptop, and whatever else it supports.
Okay, a few things on that. One, I like hard copies. I like having a collection of games. That matters to me, and maybe that makes me old school, but even when I download a game from Steam or something, part of me always wants to create its own case for it, because there's just something about it for me, about having like just a station in my house of games. I think it's equivalent to the librarian type person who just wants a bunch of books. I don't think I'm ever going to be off the hard copy bandwagon. I love the idea of having just a wall and a collection of games. The second thing is its ability to jump from device to device. That's really interesting. I love that. But isn't that going to kill Nintendo and Switch? Isn't there a whole thing, and I just got into this yesterday, so I'm not going to dive too much into it today, but isn't there a whole thing, look, we're portable, so we're going to charge you more? this would eradicate Nintendo's end game there. So that's really interesting.
Which is very cool. This kind of convenience has really ever sort of been theoretical. We've said the words Netflix for games 100 million times at this point, but that's what this is actually that. We're actually at that point. If this works, that's what this is. Number 4, we could see the revival of couch co-op thanks to this system. They've created a, I guess, function called Stream Connect, in which not only do you play this split screen, but you're actually running multiple instances of the game, meaning every single player on split screen is going to be playing it as if it was their own game. And I think that's brilliant. I love that. That's amazing. That's how I understand it currently. It sounds like a really good idea because, in theory, any game that has any kind of multiplayer then becomes a split-screen couch multiplayer game that everyone can play at a party. I love it. I freaking
that would be
amazing. Anybody else who likes couch co-op or couch competitive, that's it right there. You found it. The coolest part? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how everything works out, but I really like the sound of this.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3 is the Share State button. There's a simple button on the controller if you're using the Google controller that will create a text link that anyone can click and just jump right into the game in the same position that you were in.
No way.
Inventory with the same stuff, same level. Maybe it's a custom level. I don't know. There's actually a large number of possibilities thanks to this idea. And personally, I think that this will involve a lot of interesting experimentation, people pushing the boundaries of the game, people reproducing glitches in perhaps weird ways, people creating impossible
Oh my
challenges,
gosh, this would
stuff
allow
like that. Just
oh my.
stuff that's going to allow the consumer, the gamer, the end user, a bunch of interesting ways to experiment and maybe even express themselves. Number 2, you will be able
this
to
looks
share
amazing
to YouTube
so
with the
far.
push of a button. That's it. Just press a button, you made a YouTube video. I'm sure there's a couple of menu options in between you and that, but more or less it's that simple. You're also able to play.
Well, hold on now. My concern with that is we've seen recently YouTube has been absolutely destroying videos in terms of copyright issues. If I can just push a button and then boom, it's on YouTube, I'm asking for a copyright issue. A lot of people actually have to edit out a lot of their what they're going to know is, copyrighted material before they upload to YouTube. I don't know about that. We're going to have to change the YouTube rules to make that applicable.
Flat out stream the game to YouTube, which is pretty cool. Even if you're not a hotshot streamer or anything, it's fun to capture those moments. And finally, number 1, this is a pretty wild idea. The use of the Google Assistant to just ask for help, or perhaps maybe even do something that has nothing to do with the game. We won't get too far into that idea, but let's say you need help in the game. It apparently can tell where you are in the game and load up YouTube videos and walkthroughs. At least that was what was implied in the footage that we saw. I don't know if it will be that easy, but I also don't think it could be a lot more complicated than that either. So for me, that's very, very interesting. There's a couple of small pieces of information that are worth relaying as well. For instance, 100 studios have signed on to work with this.
So it looks like, okay, we have Havoc. That's big. I probably don't know. Unreal. Everybody knows Unreal. And I'm sure, the CryEngine, that's good. And I'm sure some of these are also legit. Visual Studio. Yeah, these look pretty legit.
This platform, it is coming out sometime in 2019, and Doom Eternal will be gracing the platform with its presence. We'll see all that in the US, Canada, the UK, and most of the EU.
So no Asian markets. Interesting.
Not all, but most. And another very interesting development is that Google themselves have set up a game studio to create exclusives for the platform. Whether or not we're going to get God of War or Game of War out of them, I don't really know, but I'm certainly interested to see how serious they are.
I don't know about that.
Titles. What do you think?
Google bombed big time with their phone series. Well, not big time, but they bombed. They didn't break through the way they wanted to.
We've all got some concerns about it. For instance, the fact that a lot of people in the United States have bad internet or no internet.
Yeah.
But that's something to talk about in a different video. Let's talk in the comments, and if you like this video, don't forget to click.
Okay, so my initial thoughts on this. My initial thoughts are, hasn't this already been done before? So I want to say, actually, let's go back here. The first thing that came to my mind is, where have I seen this?
the like button. If
Okay.
you're not subscribed, now
And I want to say it was here with Shadow. Okay, and I have a friend that uses Shadow. It's the same type of idea.
It's available anytime, anywhere.
It's basically just like an online.
So Shadow is a high-end computer streaming.
Well, here you go.
Available anytime, anywhere on any internet-enabled device, and runs at the equivalent performance of a $2,000 gaming PC. The components of each user's Shadow computer are located in a highly
So this is Shadow has been around. I don't know how long they've been around, but they've been around for a while.
data center, which uses cutting-edge technology to transmit a perfect picture to the user's chosen device with no visible latency. The technology is always evolving and updating, meaning users consistently enjoy the best possible computer experience. Now it's just a high-level overview of the service, but for the full details, I'll leave a link up here.
This is essentially the same thing, and it's been around for a little bit. But now that Google is on it, I feel like it's blowing up everywhere. Now Shadow has had its own set of problems. I've seen some Apex play on Shadow, and it's not perfect. But this already exists. But the difference between Shadow and Google, obviously, is that Google is Google, and they have access to resources that the developers of Shadow probably do not.
Kind of as a gaming PC, which leads to the next question.
Yeah, the input lag. I've seen some issues with Apex on this.
Optimized to reduce lag to its minimum. From the servers to the
Not major though,
right
nothing
now, the
serious.
amount of lag we add on compared to a local machine is so small you would hardly see it unless you're a jet pilot.
Yankee Doodle floppy disk, this is Fox.
Set up to pair with my phone, which is an Android.
Yep, and you can do it across devices just like the Google one.
The key thing that needs to be addressed is performance. We would rather wait and release something good rather than rush and release a feature that won't work well, which is completely understandable. The next one is a point which I thought I covered pretty well in the previous video, but still seems to be one of the most common questions, which is,
If I buy the box, do I still need to pay the subscription?
And the answer to that is yes. The box is just an optional extra. You don't need it.
Yeah, I want to say the subscription is like $15 a month or something.
Access to the Shadow service, and that could be through an
And so
device.
if you really think about this service for $15 a month, it's going to take you, my GPU alone in my my tower here was like $600, $650, something like that. And that's going to take me literally years to make the same equivalent amount of financial investment that it would take to just simply set up Shadow. Now there are a lot of people who prefer to just build their own PCs because they like that, and I'm actually one of them. But when you look at the financial advantage of things like this and the Google one we just watched, you have to stop and say, hey, if my internet's good enough, why would I not do this? Why would I not pay a monthly subscription to have access to all the games that I want instead of building a PC for $3,000? I mean, at $15, let's say it's $10 a month, it's going to be like 30 years before I even have to pay for it. I mean, it's a no-brainer to me.
Windows, Android, iOS.
The main problem is that you have to have the availability for it, right? You have to have the Wi-Fi for it.
If you wanted to connect directly in through Ethernet,
But I've already seen this, is my point. The first thing that came to my mind is,
now with the direction that gaming is taking at the moment with the Oculus Rift, the Vive, PlayStation VR,
oh god,
another common question seems to be,
does it support VR? I don't really care about the rest of this. The point I'm trying to make is, yeah, this has happened, and it didn't stick as well as I thought it would. I thought Shadow would have stuck significantly better than it has, and that's been kind of surprising to me. But I think Google, because it's on the main stage, they have the platform for people to listen. I think this one is going to take off. And this feeds right into the second thing that I thought of, which is consoles are dying. I think we're going to have, and I've spoken about this in previous episodes, I think we're going to have one more console generation, and then that's it. And I think Xbox, because of their willingness to partner with other businesses, other corporations, unlike PS4, which has ostracized itself from the rest of the gaming community, I think Xbox has it right. I think Xbox is going to get on board with this just like they're hopping onto Steam, just like they're hopping onto Nintendo, and they're all going to gang up on PS4, and I don't think PS4 is going to die. I don't think Sony's going to die. The company is just too damn good for that to happen. But I do think that there's going to be this shift in the console war, which isn't going to be a console war anymore. It's going to be a corporation war, And I think Microsoft is going to take the lead on this. I think this whole movement between Shadow and Google's service is actually going to benefit Microsoft significantly more than it's going to benefit Sony. So that's really interesting, guys. I want to see if I can find anything else on this to take a look at. I love the idea. My two major concerns, of course, are one, how good is it going to be? What like in terms of performance? They can give me all the numbers that they want, but until I actually plug it in and use it, I don't know. And how reliable is that performance going to be? If I have to have access to Wi-Fi for all of this stuff, what happens when my Wi-Fi goes out? What happens when there's something? There's more steps, right? There's more steps. Instead of me simply plugging it into my TV and making sure I have, electricity going to my TV and to my Xbox, now there's more stages that can go wrong. And so that may prevent you from playing games. The third thing is a lot of people, like you said, don't have access to good enough Wi-Fi to make this happen. Fourth concern, how do I stream these games? I don't know if he answered that or not. Maybe he did. But how would I stream? How is this going to affect content creators? Now, I know you can upload straight to YouTube. We saw that. We know you can set up a link for people to jump into the game at the exact point. We saw that. But how is this going to affect Twitch and Mixer? YouTube Live, it seems to be very compatible with, but what about the other platforms? I don't know. They didn't really answer that. Let's see if we can find something else. I think it's a great idea, and I think this is what we're going to. But, Google having its own gaming platform or its own department, I don't know, man. Google does a lot of things really well. They tried this with phones, and it didn't work out as well as they had hoped. Let's see. Is Xbox doomed? That's interesting.
Bye, honey bear.
I doubt it. Microsoft is just too flexible. From what I've seen, they're just too flexible.
Google is getting into gaming, and actually I'm kind of surprised they didn't just call this thing Google Gaming or Google Games. GG. I was telling Kirk before, like, missed opportunity.
That's freaking genius.
Excellent.
What? That's a great question.
They're calling it Stadia. I gotta say, it's kind of interesting, this idea, this concept. It kind of makes sense to me. The execution, of course,
Razor boy.
We're all skeptical here whether or not it's going to deliver what Google is claiming, this idea, this crazy idea of 4K top shelf games at 60 FPS.
Can we just acknowledge this dog right here? That's so cute. Look, well, that's not a cute face.
Streamed over the internet with no need for gaming hardware in your presence. It's kind of an amazing claim. I mean, it makes sense. Everything else you...
Where'd the dog go? There's a ball. Oh, you can't see the balls behind my face.
Do online is streamed. You can stream 4K video. There's obviously more complexity when it comes to gaming and input and so on, but streaming in general has become the standard in so many entertainment segments, whether you're talking about YouTube, Netflix, music services. Like, who's downloading stuff? You of course never want to download stuff if you don't have to. During the live stream, there was a moment where a person's watching a clip of Assassin's Creed being broadcast by another YouTuber, and then they quickly hit the play button, and they're instantly playing the game. They're playing Assassin's Creed, no download. The idea
Razor boy, yeah,
of
that's what I talked
if
about.
it works as advertised and as showcased, is obviously better than stopping what you're doing, going into a transaction, paying for something, downloading it, and then playing an hour later. Or
yeah, he's not wrong, but I always say to myself, whenever there's something great theoretically, what are the bones? Okay? It's like, let's feed everybody. That's great. Everybody should have food tonight. How are you going to make that happen? Are you going to tax the American people more? Well, that's not going to make them happy. Are you going to grow more farms? Who wants to work on a farm? Theoretically, this sounds great. Your ability to probably pay some type of flat rate subscription, gain access to games whenever you want them by simply clicking play. But like Razorboy just said, imagine the lag when you're downloading your game and then trying to upload it. So if I click play and I want to stream, like, how much is that going to take away from my bandwidth? How much is that going to impact my ability to have, high frame rate? How is that going to impact my ability? How's it going to impact my CPU? How much toll is this going to put on all of my stuff? Now, They're saying that the answer is that they're going to have, their own designated places for all the hardware so that I won't have to buy anything. Well, that's great, but they only say that until they have millions of people using their service, and then everything shuts down. I'm not opposed to the idea, but whenever something sounds too good to be true,
stop it!
Typically it is. And I don't think this is going to be a failure by any means. And he's right. It does make sense to be able to do that instead of having to go through all these different processes. But that sounds just too amazing. And so to me, that says there's going to be some logical fallacies that keep this from being as successful as they want it to be.
Or who knows
I
how
hope
far
it
down
is,
the road.
though.
And then, in many cases, having to deal with the various stores that different game developers utilize to distribute their games, whether it's EA with their own
Epic,
stuff
Steam.
or purchasing games on Steam and so on. There's
Ridiculous.
some friction introduced through those various services. So when we sat here as a group
there's the
talking
dog.
about whether Google
He's so
can or
cute.
can't deliver this thing, how excited we should actually be, I thought about Google through the lens of what they've been able to do with YouTube. Because I remember, once upon a time, the idea of streaming 4K video, even via YouTube, seemed
Crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
It seemed impossible. Google has a tremendous number of resources. They could be the first company to
They do
crack
have the
this
resources,
thing.
yes.
As usual, there's people that are skeptical, and they should be. There are plenty of Google products that come and go. So people have a right to be skeptical.
The phones.
But gaming is this area that's, it's just massive. And Google really has no play. They're not involved in the space outside of YouTube where people watch gaming. So they have the watching piece. It makes sense to add the playing piece.
Yes, it makes sense. My concern, though, is they're going to have to get in with good players on this. So they're not going to be able to do it on their own because they don't have the background in gaming. They're going to have to get on board with some other company that knows what they're doing, some other studios that know what they're doing to make sure this doesn't bomb. So I hope Google is willing to give away some of its power and influence to a company that has more background in this space, this particular space, so that the products that they deliver are better.
Showed with YouTube, even though who knows if it will be as smooth as they were showcasing it.
It won't be.
It just makes a lot of sense. People who play games, watch games, who could have predicted people would be watching as much gaming as they are? People could integrate with the gamers.
Join this game. That is cool.
That they're watching, they could join in. There's so many cool potential scenarios that could take place by combining.
Yeah. Join the game. Great idea. Imagine how many people are going to be in line. This is like, have you ever gone, speaking of basketball, if anybody plays basketball, have you ever gone to the gym and said, I got next, but there's 100 people in there, so your I got next is 3 hours later? That's
these
this.
Different worlds. Now, the other thing that struck me about this idea coming from Google is that Google, through Android, through Chrome, and their various other products, has reached into places where game consoles and gaming PCs haven't really taken hold, where they're not really popular or ubiquitous. Places like India, China, emerging markets with huge audiences who may not be able to enjoy AAA games at the moment. Or maybe
but they're not doing that. They're only going
is the smartphone in their pocket. With this service here, you could potentially take your game as a developer and broadcast it, send it out, and make it available to individuals who couldn't possibly be your customers in the past because they didn't own the hardware, didn't have the big display.
So true, very true. But there's a reason why they're starting with, I think they said the UK, Europe, and the U.S. and something else. They didn't name any Asian countries. Both, I think, one, there's going to be some type of, China's all about these bans, man. They ban everything, it seems like. But there's also going to be places like India that aren't the same markets, right? And Google has become a powerhouse because they understand business and they understand selling things. And even though this isn't their space, they understand business as a whole. And so I don't think that they're going to really push initially to get into these spaces that he's discussing, but maybe they will. And if they do, I think it would be great because it would connect all of us together.
So during the presentation, they showcased this streaming game service working on smartphones, low-powered laptops, computers, and even on TVs as well. That was kind of interesting. Through Chromecast, they were able to stream, I believe it was a 4K feed, once again, of Assassin's Creed. And apparently the new Doom, they're going to deliver it at 4K 60 FPS by offloading the processing to the cloud, to Google's servers. It's all happening out there. Then you just have a screen and no input lag. And this controller that they launched, which again,
Looks
I have
okay.
to try it out.
Controller's okay.
It looks pretty cool.
It looks
but
fine.
Then they went a step further and said, oh, you can also use any controller you already have. Or of course, if you're on a laptop, you can use your typical keyboard input as well.
That's key. They're going to hold a lot of customers by saying, hey, you don't have to use our controller. You can use whatever you want. That's great.
It has you questioning the viability of all kinds of gaming companies, gaming hardware, gaming software. What happens to Steam? What kind of a connection do you need? There's a lot of questions that come out of a presentation like this. They didn't say a price and the launch date.
What's my monthly fee? Shadow, like I said, I think is like $15 a month, but Shadow doesn't offer all of this. What are we looking at monthly? What am I going to have to pay? If it's, you know, $50 a month, you going to do it? Are you going to pay $50 a month for this service? I don't know. I think the answer would be yes for most people that have access to it, because a game is $60. So if I could pay $50 for the service, I think most people would do it. But I think Google's going to know this. Again, they're not stupid at business. I told you, there are many spaces that they don't know very well. Just general business, profit margin, just general business in general. They get. I think they're the second most profitable company in the world behind Amazon now or something. I mean, it's just stupid. So I think they're going to start low. They're going to get people hooked. Watch. They're going to start low, get you in at baseline level, because they know there's going to be some problems out the gate. And then they're going to bump the services up as they gain hold, as they take viewers and players from other devices and streaming services. They're going to bump their prices. And if they eventually get a monopoly on this, you better watch out to your little piggy bank there, because the moment a company owns a monopoly, aka Starbucks, they're going to start bumping up their prices for no reason.
Just said 2019.
So be careful with that.
It's got to be delivered first. It can't be laggy. People will not put up with it. It's got to be smooth.
Yes,
it's
take your
be
time.
Fast, especially if people are
deliver
use
it when
in
it's ready.
fashion.
Yes.
We need to know how fast the connections have to be, and what about the economics? Are we just buying games at full price like we're already doing in places like Steam, or
is it a monthly subscription?
Service similar to Netflix? Is it more questions than answers? Maybe.
Yes.
But at least we know it's a real thing. It's happening. There appear to be developers on board, and this really could change the landscape of gaming in a big way if Google does what they say they're going to do.
Yes, and I've said that. And this is why, now I think this one, my projection, y'all think my projections are crazy. I know you do. When I first started talking about how I think Xbox is gonna overtake Sony, oh, the Xbox gonna overtake Sony. Every time I talk about Nintendo and how, you know, Nintendo's overrated, oh, Nintendo's overrated, you guys hate hearing my hot takes. I don't think this is gonna work out the way we want it to, but I think that the next gen after that is. I think Shadow was the beginning. I think this is the next step in the progression. I think this is going to fall flat of expectations, and that's okay, so long as the price point is right. And then I think the next time that they try to take the swing, they're going to nail it. And when they do, I think consoles are gone. I said that we're going to have one more round of consoles, because I don't think that this service is going to be clean enough, and I don't think enough people are going to have access to it right off the bat. So there's still going to be a large percentage of people who stick to their consoles and to their PCs. This has to have a proof of concept before everybody makes the switch over. But I really do think that maybe 5 to 10 years after this comes out, that there's going to be a transition to this. Watch. That's my hot take. I think it's going to happen. And I think Microsoft is going to, unlike Sony, comparatively, they're going to jump on this idea. And be more willing. Is Xbox doomed? It says down here. You can't really see it. It says down there, is Xbox doomed? I think that's the wrong question. I think Xbox is going to be fine, because Microsoft, as a player in the space, has been significantly more willing to engage with other companies. I think they're going to be just fine. This should say, is PS4 doomed? Because they have ostracized themselves from the other companies with all these exclusives and their unwillingness to play and share with others, Sony. Let's see if there's anything else. I do want to see maybe just one more video on this. What are you guys thinking about this so far? I think I've been pretty fair. I think it's going to be good. I don't think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be the next progressive step. Again, this isn't revolutionary. Shadow has already come out with this type of idea. Now this expands upon it, does it bigger, and comes from a much bigger player in business, aka Google, has a lot more resources and money. I like the idea. Why Google scares me. This one could be good.
My team and I always had trouble.
But I still love my hard copies, man. I don't think I personally.
Hello, Gaz and Gaz.
I personally don't know if I would do this. I especially don't think I would do it right off the bat. You guys know me and my beliefs on pre-ordering games and things of that nature. I would much rather wait and then see how it goes and then continue to stack up my hard copy. Can't see it, but I have my game library over here. I love my hard copy games. I love them. I love my library. So I don't know if I would do this right off the bat. What about you guys?
And you know what? Today is this week's kind of a little iffy because there really doesn't need to happen.
No, I don't want to watch this. This is just a bunch of gameplay with you talking. This is interesting.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie290 Day coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And the gaming space is about to get a little bit more crowded because the folks over at Google have finally decided to join us. Now, these rumors about the Google box or the Google console has been going on around for a while. We actually have talked about it on the channel, but today these rumors became a reality as they announced the Google console.
Let's give me my last video,
Stadia,
guys.
and it's not exactly a console either. Stadia is basically a streaming service. So if you've got a device that can be streamed to via the internet, they will then cloud compute these games for you somewhere else on the internet, and then just send you the streaming image. And we've seen stuff like this before. This exact service has been tried before with PlayStation Now. And some people do still take advantage of this. It allows you to emulate PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 games, I think even in some cases PlayStation 4 games. Not emulated, but cloud computed and streamed directly to your device. It's just not a service with very high demand right now. People would rather own their physical media.
Yep, that's me. I'd rather own my physical media. But like I said, this is not a new concept, guys. I'm telling you.
Computed at home. But it looks like this is the same concept for Stadia. Basically, they will cloud compute what you want, send it via streaming in 4K, it looks like, with HDR. I mean, everything that you would want it to look like. It's all going to depend on how good your home Wi-Fi is. It's all going to depend on how good your internet connection is.
Google is basically telling you, hey, bro, come here. Look at me. I got you. Everything that you need. You don't have to buy anything for your PC. You don't need good Wi-Fi. We got you. We got everything you need right here. That's kind of the message that they're selling. That's not what they're going to deliver. If you don't have good Wi-Fi, if you don't have good tech here, if you don't have the right monitors and stuff like that, it's still going to fail. And there's more steps to this than more steps. What I mean by that is in terms of it going through your Wi-Fi, getting to the servers, getting into their little cloud and their hardware, and then reversing that cycle and coming back to you and getting into your desktop and into your TV and whatever. Like, there's more steps to this process than plug Xbox and play, and then you play, because I have a hard copy and I don't really have to worry about it. More steps means more room for issues.
But if you live in New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, you have that gigabit fiber, there's a real chance this is going to be a service you'd like to use.
Yes.
And I do think this can be more
successful
than PlayStation Now.
I also think it will be more successful than PlayStation Now.
Look at this integration that they showed in the announcement today. They showed how if you were watching a YouTube video about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you have this little Play Now button, and by clicking that Play Now button, you can load the game directly into, I don't know, Chrome? Directly onto your Chromebook, directly onto your phone. I mean, that would be really incredible.
Stupid.
And if they're going to integrate this, we've
seen that next.
Diskless versions of the Xbox this generation. And the original vision of the Xbox is that the disc wouldn't actually be a disc. It would be basically an installation program. But they wanted to do cloud computing for quite some time. PlayStation gave it a shot, realized that the internet just wasn't ready for it. And so at the beginning of this console generation, I don't think this stuff would have worked.
No.
I think we're finally now at a point where it will work for a lot.
Debatable. I think we still got some time to go.
A lot of people, enough to have a nice big market. And if you're going to be able to play mainline Ubisoft, EA, those types of games, then this is going to be a real competition for the actual boxes, the actual consoles. And to try to really drive this home, they went on to explain that it works with all of the hardware you already own. It works with your peripherals, your mouse, your keyboard, your controllers. It works with your laptop, your iPad, your device. You can basically just download this and play
it works with our stuff.
You're not really downloading much. I guess you're downloading a internet mainframe in the United States is ready for this. It's going to be a lot easier to just install your games for a lot of people.
Yes,
but hey, look,
there's
if
no
you
doubt.
Have good internet, if you
there's
have
no
good
doubt.
home
It's going to be so
Wi-Fi,
much easier just to do it yourself.
Setup and you've got the money, then this might very well be something that's good for you if you have a good idea.
I think we get the idea. Listen, guys, I think the point here is great idea. Been done before. Google has the power to make it better. Is new to the space, so they need a player in the space to make sure it's done better. Will be a part of our transition to primarily streaming services versus consoles, but it's not here yet. This is not the answer to all those problems. This is not going to revolutionize by itself the market, not yet, but it is a step in the right direction. I am excited for it. Do I think I'm going to get it off the bat? No. Even if the price point was right, I don't think I will right off the bat. I just don't know. I agree there's more questions than answers for this. And they're the same questions that we've asked about Shadow and apparently the PS4. I didn't even know the PS4 had that service. I don't have a PS4. But I'm not surprised that has already existed on the console market. So my final thoughts on this, very interesting. Step in the right. I don't know if it's the right direction so much as the next direction of gaming. Not going to be what you think it's going to be. Just watch. Take my word for it. Y'all hate my hot takes. It's not going to be what you think. This is actually going to benefit Microsoft more than Sony. Watch. You'll see. 10 years. 10 years, guys. We're 10 years away still. Slow down. We've had the same. Our smartphones have been the same since like 2011. You touch them. You make calls. We have some new emotes, but it's pretty much the exact same. You have a Play Store. You have the Apple Store. You got FaceTime. You have other ways to FaceTime, and the phone does exactly what it did 10 years ago, guys. I don't think that this is going to be the difference. I think the difference is going to come shortly after that, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been very interesting. I'm not going to, usually what I do at the end of Game On is I open it up to Q&A. I'm not going to do that today. We just haven't had as many people flowing through, and I don't have any new questions since we did the show as well yesterday. But what I'd like to do is weekly, I would like to do the show by myself like this. I'd like to do this more because I like conversing with you guys, and I like giving my opinion. Love you too, hear me. Thank you guys for watching. That is going to be it for me today. I will also state that I also spent another 2.5 hours today making some content for YouTube, so I'm hoping that will be out soon. That's why the stream is going to be rather short today, is because I've done about 3.5 hours of content already today. And I want to start editing that. So thank you guys so much for coming. For those of you who did, this is going to be on YouTube as usual. And our usual time for this show is Sundays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you guys so much. Peace.